Let me know if you can see my screen, guys. Gonna share.
Yeah, sure.
Can you see my screen?
Yes. No, no, not now again. It's just loading now.
What about now? Can you see?
No. Yes. Free now.
Okay. That's very strange. Thank you. Thank you.
Please, can you mute yourself? Yeah.
Okay. Great. So today we'll look at the product development life cycle. The product development life cycle just simply means what phases does a product, all products, and again, when I mean product, we mean technological products. What is a product? Can anyone tell me what a product is? Have we all read chapter 1 of the book? So the homework for last week was to ensure that you read chapter 1. That was one of the homeworks, to read chapter 1. Guys, if at the end of the 12 weeks we want to get a job, we must be doing all of the exercises. It's not some. If at the end of 12 weeks you want to get a job, that's a prerequisite. It's absolutely critical. It's not something you do sometimes, it's something you do all the time. Because the insights, they compound, so they add up. You take last week's knowledge and insights, you add it to this week, that's growth. That's growing. It becomes a lot. Then you add to the following week. So slowly, progressively, it all adds up and it gives you confidence. So I would really request everyone to engage in all of the exercises that we give, please. So anyway, that's fine. I will explain what a product is. So a product is any platform that you use. I mentioned Miro. This is a product. Miro is a product. A product is any technological application. You call them either a product, you call it a service, you call it a platform. They mean exactly the same thing. The meaning is interchangeable. So you can the app on your phone, your bank app, whether that's OPay or GT Bank or Access Bank, that app in itself, you would call it a product. You would call it a service. You can also call it a platform. So those three different names, they're all interchangeably. So put it here. So a product can be referred to as a platform. That's one. You can also call it a service, and you can also call it a product. So whenever you hear these three different names, they all mean the same thing. And what are these things? So this can be an app, a website, uh, it could be a feature. So a feature is something like making a call on Facebook. We all have WhatsApp, for example. A feature is sending a message. WhatsApp has that feature where you can send a message, and that's known as a feature, and that's also a product. So the meaning is very circular. It goes around. You can call it, a service. WhatsApp is a service. WhatsApp is a platform. WhatsApp is a product, and then you then have sub features. So a product is essentially the holistic offering that a company offers. OPay offers you an app. The app then allows you to connect to your bank account. So that app and all the service and all the features within it are known as a product. So a product, service, platform, it means the same thing. It's used interchangeably. If you're making a sentence, whichever one fits better, that's what you use. You can use a service if that fits the best, if that allows you to describe whatever you're describing better, then that's what you use. And you can use product, but when you hear product management is a function within tech. So in the same way, you have finance. Finance is a function within the business world because you also have other functions. You have marketing, you have legal, you have operations, you have various functions. In the same way, product management is a function much like finance. In product management, we deal with helping companies to create and develop applications or websites that will allow customers to use their products, to use their service, to use their platform. Any question? I want to make sure that we're clear on that. So because product is a term I use a lot in the course. So whenever I use that, I want it to be clear in your head that I'm referring to any platform. If I go on, for example, Amazon.com, this is a product. I can call it a product. I can call it a platform. This is a platform. If I go on Access Bank, for instance, I wouldn't call Access Bank a product, for instance. I wouldn't call this a product. I'll call this a service. It becomes a product once I go on online banking. Now I'm trying to access their online banking product. So that's a service. But if I have an app, all apps, you can refer to them as products or services. Any question on this? Great. So product development life cycle, then it refers to, when we think of the development life cycle, there are different phases. All things have phases. Nothing becomes complete from day one. So when we think of phases, we think of phase one, the beginning, the initial idea generation, conception, all the way through to actually releasing it and launching. So there are different phases. And in a product development life cycle, we think of what is a lifetime. Just like as children, when we're 2 years old, our capabilities and how we think, the things we do are different. Someone that's 50, they have different experiences. So that's known as, the life cycle from 0 all the way to 90. That's life cycle. So too, products have life cycle. If I launch a product today, the life cycle would be different in 30 years' time if it's still around. So by development life cycle, we're referring to the phases, the stages that a product goes through in order to get to the end phases of it. So again, so as I just alluded, in the life cycle, we're looking at the phases that a product moves through, all the way through the market stages, through to its conception, and then users are getting access to the product. Like all products out there, when it's being developed, customers don't have access to it. It's only when it's launched. So let's go through the different phases. So we have the ideation phase, we have the development phase, we have the testing phase, we have the release phase. All of these phases, they all bring different challenges. As a product manager, I have to be aware of all of these phases and I have to know how to run them. I have to know how to conduct them. In ideation, it's all about finding the idea. Do I know what idea I'm trying to launch? You hear someone says, do you have a business idea? That's known as ideation. Because you're thinking of various business ideas. You're not sure which one to go into. Maybe you want to go into a business in a different state. Maybe you want to go into business in a different country. Maybe your goal is to buy and sell cars or whatever. That's business. That's called ideation. In tech, When we say ideation, we're saying what do we want to build? What do we want to do? And you go through different ideations. And all businesses in tech had to go through this. For example, the owners of OPay Bank, for instance, before they came up with this idea, I'm sure, they had the people that launched this, the founders of this OPay, they had various ideas, and they settled for this idea because they saw a gap in the market, they saw a niche, they saw that they could take advantage. They knew that people that were having to sign up to, the usual traditional banks, the likes of Access Bank, First Bank, GT Bank, all of you should be aware that it takes days, if not weeks or months, to create a bank account. On OPay, it takes you less than 5 minutes. That's a gap in the market. That's a problem. Most people want a bank account immediately. They don't want to wait for 5 days. And so the owners of this bank, they saw that gap and they exploited it. They took advantage and designed the OPay banking platform. As a result, that is why you and I can go on OPay and create a bank account in less than 5 minutes. We can also do the same on PalmPay. It's exactly the same. I can come on here and create a bank account really quickly. What do I need? All I need is a smartphone and a phone. I must have a mobile phone number, those two things, and data. That's it. Now, if prior to maybe when these banks were launched, you had to go to GT Bank and sit there for many hours, and you still couldn't get it done in one day. You still couldn't get everything finalized in the same speed as you would on PalmPay and on OPay. So that's known as exploiting the market gaps. Now, for these guys to come up with the idea and get it done, and round up to just one to say we're going to focus on creating a banking product, a banking application that will solve these problems for customers. They had to go through ideation, and ideation process is what it's about, reviewing multitudes of ideas. And once you review multitudes of ideas, then you zone in on one. And then when you zone in on one idea, then you get through to the development phase. In the development phase, you're essentially unpacking the idea. That means learning more about the idea and trying to figure out what exactly to do and how would, for example, if you're building a likes of maybe OPay, for instance, then you start thinking of what features, what do you want users to be able to do when they come to your application. So you want them to be able to send money, you want them to be able to transfer money, you want them to be able to pay in money, you want them to be able to buy things online. So there are a whole range of things you want people to be able to do. So you, in a development phase, that's all you do. You consider, and then you pick the ones that you wish to do. And then subsequently, you move on through to the other phases, which is testing it, making sure that everything works as you want it to, and then moving on to release. So we'll go through these phases in detail in the next couple of minutes and hours. Okay, so let's break down the stages. So as a PM, you're expected to be a master. You're meant to have an understanding of all of these phases. And so when a company employs you, they say, for example, OPay can employ you, and then they ask you to come in and help them, maybe in the development phase, because they've already launched their product. They may have an idea that they're trying to potentially pursue, and they want you to come help them build that idea. And so when they bring you in, you would think of this class and think of everything that you learned, and then you'd be able to apply those knowledge and insights into your role. So let's begin. There's something known as the idea generation and screening. As a product manager, all this means is being able to brainstorm. Before you get into, picking a particular idea, you're expected to have said, I considered a range of other ideas. Let's say, for example, OPay hired you, and they've right now they've already got several products on on their app. So they have a business app, they have a business app, they also have a personal app, and maybe they want you to come in and help them make better their personal application. And you have a range of ideas, or they give you a bunch of ideas, and they say, pick out of all the ideas, do some research, generate a few more ideas, and then once you have a few more ideas, how do you hope to bring it down to maybe one idea that you'll be pursuing? So in that phase, you will do what's known as the idea generation. You will speak to several people in a business, whether those be marketers, so people in the marketing function, people in finance, people in the law function, that's the legal, people in operation, people in social media, in that media generation. So you speak to people in social media, people that are close to customers, and you're in a product management function. So you're speaking to these people to gain an understanding of what it means to understand what problems customers are facing. And in the idea generation phase, then all you're focused on is trying to generate a bunch of ideas. And when you have a bunch of ideas, that gives you a lot of insights to be able to then focus on zoning into the one that would add the most value to the business. As we learned last week, the purpose of a business is to make a profit. And so businesses want to invest in ideas that will help them do business better with customers. So if customers have pain points, the pain points are essentially what, like I mentioned earlier. So a pain point, for example, would be, as a customer, going into a bank to create a bank account and then it taking more than 5 days. That's a pain point. I don't want to do that all the time. So when OPay came and said you can create a bank account in less than 5 minutes, that was appealing. And so as a customer, that may drive me to go there and open a bank account, and because it's so much faster, it's quicker. So that's something that I will be grateful for. And then OPay may say, okay, that's good, but we want to have more customers. We want to generate more people that are older, because the research shows that the older generation don't trust these new style banks. So the likes of OPay and PalmPay, they're not very trusted. People are afraid of keeping their money in these styles of banks, in these types of banks. And so OPay, that's a problem that they have. So OPay now wants to create a product, or they want to solve this problem by ensuring that they give people the confidence, the reassurance that you can bring your money and save it on our in our banks. It's not going to go missing, because we are regulated by the relevant authorities. And by doing that, they're trying to buy confidence, but they need to do more to ensure that people, aren't afraid, and they can continue to bank with them and even move, large sums of their money into the OPay bank accounts. And so that's a problem that they have. And so before trying to solve that problem, they have to try and generate what can we do that would help us resolve that problem. And so from a product management function, from your perspective, you want to be able to brainstorm different ideas. So brainstorm a bunch of ideas that would help you to think, how can we solve this problem? And ultimately, as you brainstorm, let's say 10, 20 ideas, you would effectively narrow them down and then pick one idea that you would move forward with. And When you move forward with that idea, you go to the next phase, which is a design and discovery. So in tech, you think of an app. For those of you that have WhatsApp, you can see it looks good, doesn't it? Or for those of you that have OPay and PalmPay, you can see the app. It looks new. It looks completely different. For those of you that have these products, you can see if you open maybe a First Bank app and open an OPay app, you see that it's different. So before that was done, that the design the people that the owners of these products, they had to go through what's known as a design and discovery. So in design, you try to understand what are all of the features that you're going to have available and make them available for people to use. And so you will list all of those out. As a PM, you don't have to do this alone. As a PM, you can run what's known as a workshop. So in a workshop, you have a bunch of people, everybody contributing. So that means your role as a PM is just to ask good questions. So a good question might be, what are all of the pain points that we want to resolve? So remember, as a product manager, you think in terms of pain points. When people have a headache, you want to give them the paracetamol. That's our role. Someone has a headache, we have paracetamol for you. So in product management terms, all that means is people have things that disturb and infringe on their lives. They come to use our applications. We give them the solutions that would make it easier for them to live their daily lives. And in this regards, then, we run a workshop and try to define what's known as user journeys. And with the user journeys, we try to understand, how does someone get from A all the way to Z? How does someone, for example, send a message on WhatsApp? Right now, you all have WhatsApp. You can send a message, but before that was done by product managers and designers, they had to do what's known as workshop to understand how they can do it. Now that you and I have it, we don't think it was that difficult to do, because it's been done. So now we see the finished product. But before it was done, they had to go through a painful period of trying to understand, for example, defining user personas. Who are the people that might use WhatsApp, and what do they want? And in terms of the product management landscape, you then move on to understand who are the competitors. Who else is doing what you're doing, and how are they doing it? And by doing that, it really forces you to think about the core problems you're trying to solve. And by engaging in that rationale, you end up with a whole bunch of ideas, and then you have your designers. So you have a bunch of UX, user interface designers, user experience designers. So these guys, their role is to create an interface that is appealing. So you see this. There's not much to show you here, but I assume everybody has seen what PalmPay looks like, or OPay. If you haven't, I encourage you to download the app and have a look. This is OPay. You can see this. It looks good, doesn't it? It's very appealing. This is your virtual card, and you can see, like, these are the things you can do with a virtual card, and so it looks quite appealing. And then this is their home screen here, where my mouse is, and you can see the things you can do. You can withdraw. You can do so. You can buy someone data. You can airtime. You can bet. You can buy. You can pay for electricity. You can get a loan. So there are a bunch of things. These are known as features. These are things you can do on the app, but it looks quite nice. So the people that do this, they're known as UX designers and UI designers. So UX is concerned with the experience. What does the app behave like? What is the behavior? And UI is really about making it look nice, making it look appealing to you And that's to do that as a PM. You're a facilitator. You bring people together. You bring a host of people together to think these things out collectively. So it's not your responsibility to solve this by yourself. That's not how we work in tech. In tech, it's all about collaboration. You bring people together, and then everyone provides the answers. You discuss them, and then you reach a consensus agreement. So you will never have to think of the answers all by yourself. So I hope that makes sense. Any question?
Mm,
Okay. And then we have the development and testing. So again, in from design and discovery, we learned that that's where we try to understand what customers want. And then in development, we've round up to exactly one idea. We don't pursue multiple ideas. We take one idea. We saw that there were various things we could have done, but we pick one. We take that one and we create a user experience and a user interface for it. And then we narrow down to now taking that into development. In development is where you have software engineers and testers and quality assurance testers. These people, they build the feature. All of the features that have been designed, they take those features and they build them. And we'll cover this in the course down the line. So here it's more an overview for you to understand the phases that are involved in product management. But in terms of going in detail into all of these phases and how you build them, we'll go into all of that. So don't worry, take this information more as a high level view of all of the stages that are involved in product management. And further down, we'll look into what exactly you do in each phase. So in the development and testing phase, this is where you build. This is where your software engineers, they code, they write the code, and that code is what enables the application to be released. So once tested, it is then released, which is the next phase of product launch. So the launch is the idea, the software has been built, it's been tested, and it works well. So here then we link up with our marketing colleagues, and they create buzz, all the buzz in the market. And the buzz could be, for example, using social media to inform customers that we'll be launching a new product soon, and customers will be excited, and then they anticipate when the product comes. So in this phase, we act as facilitators. So again, we're always facilitating. We're bringing people together to make sure that we are doing the right things, to ensure that we can release the application. And so in terms of the visual representation of each phase, we'll go through that now. There's the element of research, there's planning, there's building, there's launching, there's analyzing, and there is iterating. So we'll see what that looks like. This is the entire end-to-end spectrum, and that looks essentially from, you think of innovation, you want to generate and prioritize ideas. So like I said, I labor on it, a bunch of ideas, and then you pick one. So now I've stressed the point from a company's perspective. I want to stress the point now from just using one company. All right, so the company that I'll be using moving forward, I'd say since everyone has used WhatsApp, I think it's easier to illustrate using WhatsApp so you can relate with ideas more. So before WhatsApp, everyone has used WhatsApp, so we know WhatsApp has multiple features. And we see that they're always releasing new features every other day. Now, for example, you can edit a message. It used to be that you could send a message, there was no editing. And it used to also be that once you send a message, you couldn't delete it. But in in a new version of WhatsApp, you can delete messages, not just for yourself, but for everyone. You can also edit messages. So if I send a message and maybe I made a mistake, I can edit and correct that mistake. So these are all enhancements. These are new features that are being released. And so that's known as innovation. You launch something and you find weaknesses, you see ways in which that product or that feature could be enhanced, could be made better. And as a PM, that's our role. We examine the product, we find weaknesses in it, and then we make the enhancements. And so the innovation is all about what can we do to be better. Do we choose to find new ideas, or do we choose to pick on ideas that already exist? And then with those ideas, we examine them and we move on forward to the next phase, which will be analysis. In the analysis phase, we look at a whole bunch of tools that we can use, and in those tools, we can use those tools to justify and validate whether we should be pursuing idea A or idea B. And so I'll go through it because moving forward, you see the different phases, but I just wanted to visualize this so you can see. So the phases goes from innovation, analysis, development, go to market, and then in life, and then end of life. Not all products will be used forever. Some products you just have to kill it and bring new ones, new ideas. And all companies do this. So let's begin with the first one, innovation. So innovation is every company wants to innovate. Innovation is what leads to you as a company being able to advance, being able to attract more customers, being able to make more revenue, being able to therefore make more profit. Customers will come to you if you solve a problem much better than other competitors. So here it's all about you discovering what you can do. So for WhatsApp, if you are a product manager at WhatsApp, your role here would be how do you advance, how do you help WhatsApp to be so much more advanced? And how do you help them to stay ahead? Because there are several products being released, on a day-to-day basis that people can turn to for communication. And so the role of a PM here is to ensure that you're always thinking of other ways that you can improve WhatsApp. And if you've been hired for WhatsApp, they will either group you and say, maybe you are in charge, you're in the function of messaging. So everything related to messaging, you're in that team, and that team then will then have a focus to enhance all things related to messaging. And as a PM in that team, you're always thinking of how do I enhance messaging? How do I enhance messaging? So there will be a whole bunch of ideas. That's what this bulb is meant to illustrate, a whole bunch of ideas. You will always be thinking. You don't just think in terms of one idea. You list down as many ideas as possible that you believe will help you to add value in the company and to WhatsApp and to messaging. So you get as much insights from customers. So you find that people are complaining of maybe messaging not functioning as it should. You get that's feedback. You keep it in and you investigate, you check, you find out why problems occur, and you use those insights to your advantage. And with those insights, then you do further research down the line, maybe in speaking with your colleagues, and then progressively moving on to the next phase, which is the analysis phase. So as you get the ideas, you look into how useful is the idea. For instance, is it representative? Is it only going to solve one person's problem, or is it going to solve more than one person's problem? If you ask yourself how many people are having this problem, and if only 10 people are having a problem, that's not enough. That size is not big enough for you to solve it. So the key is to Find a problem that affects as many people as possible. And when you do that and you solve it, then ultimately you're going to help more people to be happier with your company. And so always you think, the problem that I'm solving, is it big enough? And that's known as market size. And if your market size is big, that's really good. If your market size is not big, that means that's not a problem you should focus on. That's not a problem that is economically worth solving. As a business, you want to solve problems that are big enough to help you generate revenue. And so in the analysis phase, you're analyzing problems that are big enough. So in doing that, you ultimately end up with ideas on how to enhance the company's value proposition. In this case, we're using WhatsApp. So you're always thinking, in what ways? When you join WhatsApp, WhatsApp has well over 5,000 employees. And with 5,000 plus employees, everybody's not doing the same thing. Everyone has a different function. So the product management function would most likely have maybe 100 employees. And within 100 employees, they will then subgroup. It's just like everyone now in your current employments, you all don't do the same thing. Everyone has a role. The same thing is what happens in tech. Everybody has a role, and in your role, you have to think, as a product manager, how do I add value? Your value is always in trying to, if you're in analysis, if they bring you in to try and maybe help them to understand a product or a feature that they're trying to build, then you need to be able to use your skills of the analysis phase, which is in trying to gain understanding of the market opportunity, or in trying to validate the need, in trying to understand whether the problem is worth solving or it isn't worth solving. And how do you do that? How you do that is by conducting market research. Market research means designing surveys. We'll get to that in this course, where you design a survey and you sit people down, or you share it out to people, and people complete that survey. And when they complete that survey, that gives you insights. They're telling you ideas on what problems they're having. And as a PM, you then use those insights to drive what recommendations you give for the product development that would take place. And so in being able to understand the business requirements, you need to have done surveys, or you need to have done interviews. So interviews with people that potentially face the problems that you're trying to resolve. And so from your perspective is being able to conduct analysis. So when you've done surveys and people have told you what they think in the form of questions that you ask them, so you need to be able to analyze and draw insights. And analyzing and drawing insights just means trying to understand the response that they gave you. If they give you different responses, what does their responses mean? So you need to be able to understand that. And we move on to the development phase. So we know that there is the innovation phase. The innovation just means thinking of various ideas. In analysis means taking one idea and trying to understand whether that idea is worth pursuing. If it is, you continue. If it isn't, you go back and pick another idea. And you do that back and forth until you find an idea that is worth pursuing. An idea that's worth pursuing means its idea is going to generate more customers. It's going to generate more revenue for the company. And that idea is what you take into development. And when you're in development, then the key here is to build the product. So that means being able to write several business requirements and being able to ensure that the development team, the UX designers, the UI designers, the QA analysts, the architects. So ensuring that everybody in the team, in your development team, will get through to this that you will all understand what I mean when I refer to development team. As I said, think of in sports, everyone has a team, and in the team, everyone has a role. You have your defenders, you have your strikers, everybody has a role. So in tech, it's exactly the same thing. So there will be your QA, there will be a product manager, there will be a product owner, there will be a business analyst. These are all roles. They all add value. And so as a PM, you bring all of these people together and you communicate the product that you're trying to build. As you clearly articulate the problem and then how that problem will be resolved. And then post that, everyone in the team that is there will begin to ask questions because they are curious. They want to know how the product will work. And in turn, you then use their knowledge to enhance and advance the solution further because they will have several questions and several ideas on how to do that. And that's why team is so critical. And so from your perspective as a PM, it's always about bringing ideas to the table. And in this form, you brought an idea that has gone through a rigorous process. And in this phase now, it's all about trying to hone in on that idea. That means being able to expose the business requirements so that everyone fully can engage, and then go on to to scope, to be able to say we are able to build this product and tell you how long it will take for that to be built. And then of course that will be done every week until it's fully developed and launched. And okay, so I've summarized here the various activities that can happen in each of these phases. I think it's nice for you to know what frameworks. So, for example, when I say requirements, your question may be, what is a requirement? It's a valid question to ask. What is a requirement? A requirement is equal. A requirement is this. A requirement is being able to make a bank payment. That's a requirement. As a user, I want to be able to make a payment to someone. That's a requirement. A requirement is a request. So a request that users can have. So in tech, you will list all of those things that users want to be able to do. And when you do that, it gives everyone deep insights into what the product will look like. So what are all of the things that the product will do? And so in this slide, I share frameworks. Frameworks are the things that you use, for example, in the discovery, to discover the problem, and then the things you use to deliver the solution. So you discover a problem, you deliver a solution. So in trying to discover several business requirements, you can use what's known as customer discovery. So in customer discovery workshops, you bring various members of a team, all of you together, and collectively think about the problems you have. When you do that, it really helps that you will get a variety of potential responses and solutions. And ultimately, those solutions will help everyone to be able to dive in and understand what the end product will look like. For example, when OPay did this, they didn't just, one person didn't sit down and thought of everything here. Someone gave them a bunch of requirements, a document that contained requirements, and at the end of that document, they were then able to design this, a UI. So the UI team members were able to design an interface that looks like this. Okay, and another one that people use in tech, is prototyping. In order for you to do a prototype, you need to have a bunch of requirements, a bunch of pain points that you wish to resolve, and then that guides you. So prototyping will be done to validate the solution. So You've thought of a problem to identify an opportunity. That's the value discovery. So you discovered it, and then you can think of prototyping as being able to design a potential UI that would help everyone to visualize. So it goes from just thinking of something in the abstract to actually visualizing it. So that's what you would do here. And in the delivery, then you can think of user story mapping. So all of these frameworks, some of them you will see them in action. We'll use them in the course, and I'll teach you them. So you'll be fine. Here is just more, I'm giving you an introduction to the things that we will be doing down the line in the course. So I appreciate that at the moment you may not fully understand, but this is to just bring you up to date on some of the things we will do down the line. So right now you may not know what, for example, user story mapping is, but before the end of this course you will know what that is. You will also know what a prototype is. For those of you that don't know, you will also know what a customer discovery is. What is this process? So you will know all of this. And then in week 12, if I said, for example, user story backlog, you will know exactly what that means. And that is a knowledge that will help you in week 12 to be able to feel confident and apply for various jobs that I'm sure you will be doing. Okay, let's move on to go to. So this is a go to market phase. Go to market is you've developed a product and the product is now ready. You can then launch it in the market. And when you launch a product in the market, your job as a product manager is done. It's now left for everyone else in the business. So marketing, sales, they all step up now to take that product to the market and ensure that customers are aware of it. And then in life, it's all about how do you manage the product. And we're going to do an exercise together that will give you the insights to understand what in life means. When a product has been launched, for example, you're all using WhatsApp today. WhatsApp was launched in 2008. So it's a very old product. But so right now, it is in the phase known as in life. It's being managed. They're releasing new features, and those features are helping it to sustain, and they will continue to do so until a different product comes in the market that is so much more advantageous that some of us will say, actually, I don't like WhatsApp anymore. I think I prefer TikTok, for example. Most people don't use WhatsApp anymore. They've moved over to Instagram and TikTok. That's all they use. And for those people, WhatsApp has lost them until they can do the things that Instagram and TikTok do really well. Then those people will come back. Otherwise, they're gone. And in life, in this phase, that's what typically happens, because new products and new services will be launched in the market that will compete with you, and ultimately you may lose to those new services if you're the owner of WhatsApp. So as a PM, it's always advisable to be thinking of how to manage, how to release new features, how to release services that would really help people to stay engaged with your product. Any question? Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Darlington. My question is in the prototypes. So does the PM work on high and low fidelity prototype, or is that the job of a UX designer?
Great question. So the question is in twofold. The first is yes, and it's also a no. Let me share. Just so everyone is aware, these are high fidelity prototypes that I'm about to share. Okay. So to your question, uh, a PM, yes, a PM can get involved and design high fidelity prototypes. A PM can also utilize, because remember, we are a team. So one person is a UX within the team, one person is a UI within the team, one person is a programmer, so a software engineer in the team, one person is a product manager, one person is a product owner, one person is a project manager. So there are hosts of people within the project team, and everyone brings value to the table, and everyone brings that value based on what they do, based on what they contribute to the team. And as a as a PM, then your role is not to, if you can easily sketch a low fidelity prototype that would help everyone understand what you're trying to do, that's helpful. However, if you don't have the skills to be able to sketch a low fidelity prototype, that's fine too. What you can do, there are a bunch of other frameworks that you can use. So you can describe the problem, you can summarize what the problem is, or you can summarize what the solution is that you're trying to do. And so there are various ways of communicating with the team. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And we'll look at all those tools down the line. It's so I encourage you all to pose those questions, and as you pose the questions, if it's something that we are engaging in today, then I can tell you that. If it's not, then it's going to be something we're engaging in the future. For example, we're going to engage in brainstorming session soon, and again, that's equitable to discovery. Yeah, so being able to think of various ideas. So you guys will see through how that works now quickly. But this is Grace mentioned the idea of low fidelity wireframes. These are known as wireframes, but these are high fidelity. They're high fidelity because they're very clear. They're almost, you can tell it's not a sketch. These are they're real, right? So, but it's still not too high fidelity, but they're much higher than one would expect at this phase. So you can see they're not the best wireframes, but that's what they are, wireframes. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the practical exercise. I want everyone to be engaged in this. Do you want to take a quick 5 minutes break? Yeah, shall we do that? Let's do a quick 5 minutes break, and then we'll come back to the exercise where we can actually see in practice what it means. When I mention ideation, development, launch, growth, maturity, decline, you will know exactly what that means, because we're going to do it together. We'll go through, we use Netflix as an example. Have we all heard of Netflix? Fantastic. So we use a live, awesome. We use a live product that everyone has. I'm very keen to use things that you can relate with. There's no point of using a product that you're not able to relate with, because then that really solidifies the insights and the lessons for it. So let's come back in 5 minutes, and then we'll do this together. For those of you that haven't created a mural, if you can create one, that's nice. Otherwise, maybe that will be your task for the week. But please do create it by Sunday next week. Otherwise, you're missing opportunities to be practicing. Okay, so come back in, let's say, 4 minutes. Okay, hi everyone, are we back?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Let's begin again. Okay, so in this hands-on exercise, we're going to try and think of essentially what did what are the phases that have been involved in Netflix. So this is Netflix for those of you that have never seen it. Netflix is a service. It's a service that allows you to sign up, and once you sign up, you can watch TV for as much as you can watch TV for as long as you want, and there are several benefits, several features. So if you're paying this much monthly, you can watch devices your household can watch at the same time. So it means I can sign in to two different devices at the same time, and that's why we pay the cheaper price. That's more. That's more. That's premium. That's standard, and that is standard with some ads. So what's the key here? That all of this, there's always evolution. No one stands still. If you release a product, the product goes through evolution. It always evolves. Today it can do A, tomorrow it will be able to do more than A. So whenever a product is released, you must always think, how will this product be evolved in the upcoming years? And that's what Netflix has done, and they always evolve them. And so Netflix is a service that allows you to watch uh, various content, movies, shows. So whatever it may be, you can find it on Netflix, and they charge you for that, as we've seen, and they give you different resolution. So a whole bunch of features. So in our exercise now, we're going to try and essentially think of in the ideation phase, what what were they doing? In the development phase, in the launch phase, in the growth phase, in the maturity phase, in the decline phase. Netflix is a product we're going to use. So let's begin. Let me share a link. For those of you that have created a mirror account, you can come in. Yeah, you can edit, but please don't delete anything. So I've shared a link.
I'm also gonna share the link on WhatsApp now for those might not know where to get it on Meet, Google Meet.
Yeah, thanks, Godfrey. So in ideation, so we think of again Netflix. That's our product. Let me put it here so it's always in mind. Netflix. We're here. Okay. So in ideation, what is ideation? Can someone tell me what ideation mean? This is where I'm gonna make it interactive, guys. I've been talking a whole lot. Now I want some of you to be contributing. What is ideation? Yeah, go ahead.
Ideation is the aspect of brainstorming with team, like other team members to evaluate the product.
Good. Excellent. That's
to
exact.
offer solution or to resolve user pain points.
Excellent. Excellent. That's a great summary. So, everyone, that's the meaning of ideation. So, in ideation, then, before Netflix became Netflix, before they could think of the name, what? So, when we think of ideation, the point is to say what, because if you recall, I said earlier that during the ideation phase, you have a bunch of ideas, you have a bunch of solutions, and then you narrow down to say, wow, then they said, you know what, we want to only focus on doing one thing, and that thing that we want to do moving forward will be called Netflix. That's it. So all of the ideas that they had, they burned them. They just focus on Netflix. And so here in ideation phase, what I want everyone to think is, what was the initial idea or concept? So we're trying to walk backwards. Yeah, because Netflix is already out, as I showed you here. It's live. It's something that already exists. But we're trying to reverse engineer. We're trying to go back in time and think like how they were thinking. So when they came up with it, when they finally thought, let's create this idea that would allow us to allow people to watch as many content as they want. So for those of you that don't know, Netflix was originally a DVD concept. So the idea was people will register, people will come into the physical store. It was like a DVD store. So let me show you what that looked like. Original Netflix store. Yeah. Can you all see my screen? I assume you can. This is what it looked like. These are all DVDs. So this was the original vision. This is that's why we're reverse engineering. We're going back to how it was. And then we'll go to the future or how it became. This is how it is today, online. But in the original idea, it was just a DVD that people can come in and they will subscribe, or they'll become members. You sign them up, and then they will take a DVD home, they watch the DVD, and then they bring it back. That's it. That was how it used to be.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is it. And sometimes they will post it to you. If you call them and said, I would love to order this movie, they will take the DVD and post it to you. This was the original idea of Netflix. Yeah. So the Netflix that you enjoy today never used to be that Netflix. It was literally a DVD that customers will order a DVD. So the process was customer comes to the store, completes registration, and shows their identification, and then they will order a DVD. Yeah, so of course you can order more than one, so it's not just one, but yeah, you can order a DVD or multiples. Is that clear? So this was the original idea. This is known as the initial idea or concept. Yeah. So initial idea of concept. That was what Netflix was about. And then and so we look at what market needs or problems were they addressing. So they were trying to address the problems of providing entertainment. Yeah, provide entertainment. People, for those that couldn't go to cinemas, to the movies to go watch it, they would. This is how they would, get to watch that movie. They will wait until the movie has been released in the form of DVD, and then they will order it and they will go ahead and watch it. This is how I used to watch movies. I had to wait because going to the cinema was very expensive, so you have to wait. So And so Netflix was trying to address, when we say market needs, this word, what market needs or problems was it addressing? So as I said earlier, customers have problems. Customers that couldn't afford to go to movies to go watch it. Netflix was trying to say, don't worry, we're going to have DVDs that you can come and rent. You can rent this, watch it, and return it back to us. That is a problem that they were addressing. Is that clear? Okay, so we've got here that they were trying to provide entertainment and also help those who couldn't watch movies to again watch movies in their own homes. So effectively, that's two things. Number one, we know what the original idea was, and then just a DVD rental business. That's what it was. DVD rental business, and then but what problem was it trying to address? It was trying to address the problem of those people that couldn't watch movies in cinemas, providing them an option, providing them a way to be able to rent a DVD and watch the movie at home. I'm sure most of you had, used to be able to buy DVDs and watch at home. Imagine going to buy, that's quite expensive. Now, and if you rent, after you've used it, you take it back in the time period provided. So Netflix will tell you this rental is for a week, and you rent it for 1 week and you take it back. If you took it back late, they will charge you a fee for late return. So this was the business model that they used. This was the market needs that they were trying to address. So that's ideation. Now we move on to development. They created what product? So in development, we asked the question, how was the product developed? Prototyping, MVPs, user feedback. So that's something we do. So the old website that Netflix had, this is a new website. The old website, unfortunately, I don't have a way of showing you that, but I can tell you what it was like. The old website was essentially where you come in. So you come in on the old website, you complete registration, and so once you've completed registration, you will sign in, and then once you sign in, you will get access to a wide collection of movies and shows, and then you will place an order, and then that order gets delivered to your address, because in registration you will provide them your name, your address, and all those things. And I appreciate that this is how it was in the West. Netflix is not a product that was available in countries like Nigeria initially. Now it is, because there's no DVDs to be placed. It's all remote. It's all online. So it works perfectly. But in the old version of Netflix, that's how it used to function. And so that's how the product was. And then effectively, the major challenges they had was, how do we scale? What was the major challenges during development? How do we grow our business globally? We're not going to ship DVDs to someone that lives in, for example, someone that lives in Lagos. That's not possible. So that's where online, really came in. How do we take our content and ensure that people can watch this content online, which is what you have today? So the shift was in, how do we move away from being DVD centric, being DVD focused, and moving the business towards an online platform where everyone can watch live wherever they may be. So these were some of the challenges. These were some of the questions they were asking, posing on themselves. And progressively, once they launched it, it then became, how do we market it? So let's think of where now Netflix launch an online platform for watching movies. Okay, so they migrated and left the DVD business because it was clear that it wasn't profitable anymore, and it's a great thing they did that, because many other businesses that were doing the same business, they all went out of business because it wasn't profitable anymore. And Netflix migrated to becoming a platform like this, where people can come in and watch as many movies as they saw fit, whatever they want, maybe on their mobile devices, on their laptops. So when they did that, everyone else went out of business because people found Netflix so much easier to use. It became the go-to platform. So that's what they did. And then once they launched that, so it became, how was the product launch? Netflix used a lot of social media promotions. And the initial strategy used to be, you will get a 1 month free trial. This is what it used to be. You get a 1 month free trial, so you can effectively use it for free for a whole month. And most people used to do this, and after the month they will cancel because they didn't want to pay, and they'll use a different email address and sign up for another free trial. So all you needed to watch Netflix for a whole year is 12 different emails, because if you bring a different email address to sign up, you will get free access again. Another email, free access again. So this is what Netflix were doing, and it really drove, because it was free. We all like free things, so many people joined, and progressively the company grew, became bigger, because more people are joining. So the problem now they have, as you can see, if I have 12 emails, I can watch Netflix for a whole year for free. That's a problem. This hasn't been designed so I can watch for free. It's been designed so I can pay and watch. That's how Netflix would then make money. But if people are bypassing that process and signing up with different emails, then they're never going to make a profit. So that was a challenge that they had. How do we make a profit? So the keys to success post-launch was limiting this 1 month and bringing a new promotional style approach, which was 7 days free trial. Yeah, any questions so far? Okay, so that's what they did. They reduced from 1 month, 4 weeks, to just 7 days. And ultimately, if people are having, to like find ways to bypass and circumvent this process of just using it for 7 days, just to try it out, and then if you like it, you then subscribe. If people are finding ways to bypass it, then ultimately Netflix removed the entire thing. So if you come on Netflix now, there are no free trials. Literally, there are no more trials. It's either you to sign up now, either I go ahead and sign up and pay, or I don't get to use it. It's literally that. There are no free trials. It's literally pay and use. That's it. There's no free trials. And that's what they've done. So now they're making money because people are having to pay to use. And they'll move on to the next phase, which is growth. So how did the company achieve their growth? How did they do that? So how did they scale feature enhancements? I mentioned earlier that it used to be that it only allowed for certain features. So what now on Netflix, there are a whole range of features. There are features for certain groups. So if I sign up on a standard, I get to see adverts, and these are annoying. Some people don't want to see that. You can see a few adverts, no advert, no advert. So people that love adverts, they will never subscribe to this. So people that don't like adverts will never subscribe to this. People that, people that hate adverts will only subscribe to either standard or premium. And then people that want to see a clear picture, so 4K plus HDR, this is what they will subscribe to. This is still clear, but it's not as clear as this. So there are multiple features depending on the product that you sign up with. Yeah. So that's how they achieve growth. They distinguish several, so they categorize the products into several types. So different types of features for different account types. So if I sign up to a standard account, I have different features. So there's always they're distinct. So you see here, if I sign up to a premium account, I can watch in up to four different people can sign up, can watch at the same time. So that means I can give my password to three other people, whereas with this, it's only 2 other people. Device that can watch at the same time. So yes, I can give someone else to watch, but if I'm watching and they're watching at the same time, then that's fine. If a third person tries to watch at the same time, it won't be possible. So in different times. That's one of the features here. So these are known as features, different things that can be done per the account type. Okay, so what were the challenges during this phase? In the growth phase is how do we attract more customers? That was one of the key challenges for Netflix. How do they continue to attract more customers? So what they did was to distinguish the prices, to charge different prices. So you keep a basic one in what's known as standard, and therefore there are different ways to make money. So they make money from ads, from adverts, and they also make money from users signing up. So this is only $4.99. This is not much, whereas this is $17.99. That's quite expensive for you to pay monthly. Every month you pay this much. So now most people may sign up to this. This is much cheaper. And that's how they were able to achieve growth. So by being able to price discriminate and say we will charge some people less and some people more. And how did they do this? Some people chose to, because it always is choosing. You have to choose. I chose this because it's what I can afford to pay. No one tells me what to choose. Based on what I'm willing to pay, that's what I choose. So you choose this if that's what you're willing to pay every month. And in that way, Netflix will be able to maximize their revenue. So they did what's known as price discrimination. So charge different prices. Charge different prices to different customers. So that was one of the key tactics that they use to be able to grow. And then we're currently seeing the product in maturity phase. Maturity just means the product is in a phase where it's been around for a while, and they're having to do what's known as diversification. Netflix used to be where they would simply, all the movies that you'll find in cinemas, you'll find them here. But because the product is in the maturity phase, what you're seeing right now is they have some original content creation. What does this mean? This means that they've created some of their own content that is entertaining to therefore drive more people wanting to come on Netflix and subscribe. Yeah, so this is what they've used. It's also the strategy that they've used to fend off competition. All this means is to be able to discourage others from joining the business of being a host to multiple content. Because if Netflix can create their own original content, other people trying to join this market may not have the money to do what Netflix can do. And if they come and invest their money to do so and it doesn't yield any positive results, then that's money wasted. And so that's known as fending off your competition. So they will have to think twice before joining, because you've done it so well that it will be almost impossible for them to solve additional pain points that will make people want to leave Netflix to join that platform. So as a PM, you always have to think like that. Am I solving enough problems in a way that would allow new people from trying to join this market from entering, to prevent them from trying to join, and therefore allow your customers to continue to be your customers and not to leave you. So you have to always think in delivering exceptional value to customers. And so Netflix did that by creating original content. Original content just means it's something that they created. They wrote script and created their own movies and shows and were distributing that on their platform. And so people were watching, and therefore they are happy to continue paying their monthly subscriptions because they're getting content. Any question? Okay, in the decline, we see that the decline when Netflix is not there yet, because yes, they're getting lots of competition. So there's something known as Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime is a competitor to Netflix. So simply, they do the same thing. Just, it's a platform with lots of movies and shows, and they've also begun creating their own original content. This here is, I think it's a Netflix. It's an Amazon original content. So all that means is Amazon hires people to create and shoot their own movies, or pays people to come in and help them shoot movies, and then they will launch it only on Prime Video. And so if I want to watch that, I will have to sign up and pay to watch that movie. And that's what Netflix does. And Amazon, they're now using that same technique as well. But in a decline phase, there will be, for Netflix to be in a decline phase, there will have to be many more other competitors in the market. So at the moment, I think they're not many, but there are very few platforms that give you a global content hub. I mean, if you have Netflix, you will see that there is all types of content there. There is even stuff from Nollywood, Bollywood, Hollywood, all of them. They're all in one place. That's tremendous. That's really, really good value. And so that's what drives people to pay. In Nigeria, I'm sure it's, Netflix is there, and it won't be these prices. It will be different prices. But, ultimately they're still maximizing revenue. Okay. Any question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, please,
could I say is the introduction stage
Mm,
the same thing as the ideation stage? Because what I saw on the PDF file,
mm,
I saw introduction stage, growth stage,
mm,
then there's maturity and
mm,
there's decline.
mm.
So how do I differentiate this from the ideation, development stage, and all of that?
Excellent.
At this point,
They're similar. Uh, I grouped in a PDF. I grouped them because they're essentially fulfilling the same function. If it's fulfilling the same need. In the ideation, you think, it's we're missing out on understanding how, for example, Netflix came to be. You know, I run a startup, and before it came to actually picking one startup to run, there were a bunch of other ideas I could have chosen to do. So it wasn't just one, and in choosing one idea, you have a bunch of things that you want to do. So the ideation is listing a bunch of ideas that come to mind, and once that's the first stage of ideation. The second phase of ideation, if you choose to do Netflix, then how will you do it? That's known as a discovery. How will you do it? Right? And in that discovery, that's the research, and you trying to understand, what are the customer pain points? What exactly resolve, would resolve customer pain points, and what exactly would make people continue to come to you? So you try to unpack what the problem is, and more relevant. So this is a more holistic view, or as we in product management, as we zone in, you think of Netflix right now, and it's a whole platform that already exists, but Netflix has well over 5,000 employees, and with those employees, they will have a bunch of product managers, and their job is to ensure that Netflix remain a top platform around the world. And then now their role would be to find ways of making Netflix easy to use, finding ways to release new features, to release new ideas within the platform. And if you go on Netflix, you will see all of these. They're, every product that you use, they're always releasing new features or always fixing problems that exist. So as a PM, the whole aim of today's class was to bring that to your attention, that when you join any team, there are always a bunch of things you can do. You can be part of the team that is fixing. So fixing existing problems, or part of a team that is discovering new ideas to make the product even better. Does that make sense?
yes, thank you.
Yeah. So to your question, yes, they're all the same. It's just in the book I've spelled them out a little bit more to ensure that you can effectively be able to know what ideation. So there are various versions of ideation. The first version of ideation is to determine if you should do Netflix or maybe do something else. And then if you then say you're going to build a Netflix, then you say the next ideation is, what type of Netflix do we build? What will Netflix help people to do? Then that's known as scoping. So being able to define, okay, for people to use Netflix, we'll need to have an account section that people can create an account to register. We need to have the ability to be able to watch movies. We need to have the ability to share, copy a movie and send to someone else so they can watch it. So all of these requirements. So then you can only do that once you've decided that Netflix is what you want to proceed with. So there's the discovery, and then there is the Netflix discovery. So in the book, I've described them differently so that you can literally go from ideation, research, development, and launch, and so on. Any question? As you read this, any questions that come to mind, write your questions and share them. And maybe post them in the class video, post them here. So when I answer, everyone can also benefit from those questions, from the response. Yeah, in our first two classes, they're more introductory, just trying to ensure that we're all at the same level. Then in our next class, we'll then dive into product functions and capabilities that would really, these will be things that when you join any tech team, these are the things that you'll be doing within the role. And so we'll start giving you the skills themselves. So at this level, it's just almost like background information. So we'll all be at the same level in our third class. Any more questions, guys? When you ask questions, it's always better. I always prefer that we ask questions so we can get some responses. If you don't have questions, that's fine. But if you do, don't be silent with it. Ask it, and it really helps because your understanding would be much better. I've covered some very difficult concepts today. I'm aware of that. But if there's something you're not clear about, it really helps to put it as a question, and then it becomes, I hope to make it even clearer for you. Okay, I guess no questions. So in our next class, we'll move on to a different topic. So, but on this, I will share for this week. There is no homework exercise to do. There is only the reading. So for those of you that hadn't read the product life cycle, that's chapter 2. Please do read it. We'll add you on Slack, and then you will have time to read it, because that's important. I want everyone to read that, and then it gives you the base, and then rewatch the video if you're missing, you want to get some more insights, do that, and we'll resume again next week. And also create a Figma and a Miro account. Those two things are important. And then I will provide feedback for the week 1 exercise that you guys have done. Thank you to those that have done it. For those of you that haven't, you still have time to create that. Okay?
So I have one more.
Yes, go ahead.